In the headlines, Prime Minister Motley donates personal funds to the Green Rising in Barbados project. A customs officer on bail after facing several charges under the Prevention of Corruption Act. An increased stipend for prison officer recruits. And in sports, the Windies go down in the first women's T20 to South Africa.
Broadcasting from our studios in the Pine St. Michael, this is CBC NewsNight, starting now.
Good evening and welcome. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm Tisha Hines with the details to the news. The newly launched Green Rising in Barbados project is set to get a major financial boost from Prime Minister Mia Amor Motley's pockets. Ms. Motley announced that she will be injecting $500,000 to be looked after by an advisory board into the bold youth-centered initiative. She made the announcement during the launch at the National Botanical Gardens, Codrington, St. Michael. Our Anesta Henry has that report for you.
Prime Minister Motley has given $1 million Barbados to the Green Rising in Barbados project. PM Motley, who is also the global chair of the UNICEF-led project, announced where the funds will be coming from.
And Maria, you went with me earlier this year to Abu Dhabi when I had the honor of accepting the Zayed Award for Humanity. And with that award comes some funding. And I can think of no better cause to give some of this funding to. And therefore, I will commit to providing $500,000 US, $1 million Barbados dollars of the award that I received, half of that award to Green Rising.
The Green Rising in Barbados project is a youth-centered initiative designed to accelerate the country's transition to a 100% green and fossil-free economy by 2035. It forms part of a global Green Rising program being led by UNICEF and other partners. Prime Minister Motley says she is injecting her funds into this initiative to ensure that the children of this country can truly benefit from the program's objectives.
From being able, not just being sensitized to the importance of the environment in which they live, but that they can see and believe in the possibilities for enterprise to be able to help sustain our planet, our lands, our oceans, while at the same time creating a pathway for a living for themselves, for their future.
The Green Rising initiative aims to mobilize 10 million young people from all over the world to take concrete green actions. By volunteering on environmental issues, advocating for more climate action, or taking jobs in the green economy, they contribute to adapting to the devastating impacts of climate change and protection of their families and communities. Director of the UNICEF Program Group, George Laria Ajay, is commending Barbados for its role in leading the climate change fight.
But I must say, after hearing the young poet, I'm going to ask my colleagues to make it 100 million. It is possible. And I'm going to ask in a very kind way for Barbados 5,000 to 12,000.
Following the ceremony, students joined Prime Minister Motley and other officials for a symbolic tree planting exercise in the National Botanical Gardens. Anesta Henry, CBC News.
Minister of Environment and National Beautification, Green and Blue Economy, Adrian Ford, has assumed the chairmanship of the Ministerial Council of Partnership Initiatives for Sustainable Land Management. The appointment will run for the next 2 years. During the fourth high-level ministerial council held in Grenada this week, Minister Ford asked for continued regional collaboration, unity and cooperation as they build out capacity, integrate science and technology, and draw on the knowledge of the region's indigenous communities.
It is therefore of utmost importance that we incorporate policy, passion, dedication, and of course vision as the region faces the uncertainty of a bipolar climate environment. Under my leadership as chairman of the Ministerial Council, I will continue, with your help of course, to agitate for the equal state of our citizens at the global level, so that their livelihoods and the livelihoods of their families could be protected and sustained. Survival must not only be a privilege, it must be a right for our Caribbean people.
A customs officer has been granted bail after appearing in the District F Magistrates Court on a charge under the Prevention of Corruption Act. Fadisha Fian Howard, 24, of Paris Hill, St. Joseph, was not required to plead to the indictable offences that she solicited an advantage for herself by demanding that Kyle Haynes pay her $300 as a reward for her not collecting the requisite duties for the goods imported by him. She was also not required to plead to the charge that she, without lawful authority or reasonable excuse, engaged in willful misconduct, which amounted to an abuse of public trust by failing to make any entry in the customs receipt book after charging Haynes $300 as duties for the goods. These offences occurred in the Barbados Customs and Excise Department of the Grantley Adams International Airport on May 26. Magistrate Douglas Frederick granted bail in the sum of $5,000 and ordered her to surrender her travel documents. She was represented by King's Counsel Michael Lashley in association with Suthany Hall. Howard will return to court on August 20th. And police are seeking the public's assistance in locating missing man Lyle Alfred Maloney, 73 years, of 2nd Avenue, Authors Land, Tweedside Road, St. Michael. He was last seen on June 12th. Maloney is about 5 feet 8 inches in height, dark complexion and medium build. He is said to have a large nose, large ears, small staring eyes, and he walks erect. Maloney speaks with a Bajan accent and has a pleasant manner. He has long grey and black hair, and his clothing at the time is unknown. Maloney is said to frequent the Browns Beach, Bayland, George Street, and Belleville St. Michael areas. Anyone knowing the whereabouts of Lyle Alfred Maloney is asked to contact the Black Rock Police Station at 417-7500 or 417-7501, Police Emergency at 211, Crime Stoppers at 1-800-8477 or 1-800-TIPS, or call any police station. Government is looking to increase the stipend for those training to become prison officers. Minister of Information and Home Affairs Wilfred Abrams has announced the next recruit intake will be the first to benefit from this higher compensation. He made the announcement at the Barbados Prison Service graduation ceremony, Recruit Intake 1 2025. Our Anesta Henry has that report.
People leave their homes and families behind to engage in intense training to join the ranks of the Barbados Prison Service. And Minister of Information and Home Affairs Wilfred Abrams says government will be increasing the stipend for those individuals who sometimes quit other jobs to pursue this national duty.
And some of you have jobs. Some of you have dependents, you have children. For you to come and go into a living program for 14 weeks, you have to leave that behind and take a gamble on yourself. While we appreciate what you did, I accept that the stipend that currently exists is not enough. I will support the superintendent of prison in his position to get an increased stipend for the next batch of recruits. Bearing in mind, we are calling upon you to do a national duty, so we have to do our part as well.
Minister Abrams also announced authorities are finally in the home stretch of dealing with the compensation package for prison officers.
For those who did the 12-hour shifts, right, we are in the final stretch of tying up. That has been a bugbear for a number of you for a while, and the complete resolution of that is imminent.
Minister Abrams is urging the 12 recruits who spent the past 14 weeks training in key areas, including security procedures, inmate supervision, use of force protocols, and ethical conduct, to treat their new career with pride and to remember inmates are not their friends.
We have taken a repositioning in terms of our approach to the prison. Slackness, ill-discipline, and illegal behavior will not be tolerated at all. Don't even blur the line and not know where that line is. Know where the line is and stay far on your side of the line.
Assistant Chief Officer Samuel Solomon says successful completion of Prison Recruit Intake 1 of 2025 marks a significant milestone in the professional development of each participant.
The foundation laid in Class 1 of 2025 will not only guide them in maintaining safety and order, but also in upholding the principle of justice and rehabilitation. We commend graduates of 1 of 2025 for their hard work and dedication.
The best recruit on parade was awarded to Shireen Brooms. Onesta Henry, CBC News.
Well, coming up, an education MOU signed today will give you a sense of what that's all about and what it involves. That's next. Canadian education for Barbadians received an added boost. A memorandum of understanding was signed between the George Brown College and the Ministry of Educational Transformation and partners today. Trevor Thorpe was at the signing ceremony.
Barbadian students now have more scholarship options. It comes as officials of the Ministry of Educational Transformation, the Erdison Teacher Training College, and the Ministry of Training and Tertiary Education signed a memorandum of understanding at the Office of the Ministry of Educational Transformation today. Minister Chad Blackman called it a momentous occasion and a pathway of partnership between the entities. He said the signing is more than a ceremonial act, but a bold step towards a commitment on transforming our education in a tangible and relevant way.
We know that access to international training can be life-changing, not just for the students who benefit directly, but for the communities and industries they will return to and uplift. This is a capacity building in its truest form, and certainly the country will benefit as a result. But also, this partnership isn't just about sending students abroad. It's about bringing knowledge home, particularly as you've heard the government talk about in creating a knowledge-based economy where ideas and certifications must now lend to creating global solutions to global challenges.
Minister Blackman said a key component of the MOU is the nutritional labelling system for the school meals department in collaboration with the George Brown College's School for Culinary Arts.
This initiative will help us to improve food literacy, promote healthier eating habits amongst our students, and also to give parents and schools the information they need to make informed decisions about nutrition. It is a small but powerful example of how international collaboration and cooperation can directly support local well-being, starting, of course, with our future, our children. And lastly, but certainly not least, this MOU includes a partnership between George Brown College and the Erdison Teachers Training College.
President of the George Brown College, Dr. Jerwin Thierson, said the signing of the MOU reflects the work that had already been done between Barbados and the Canadian Educational Institution.
Speaking on behalf of everyone involved in the work done today as it relates to the George Brown team, we're so very, very pleased to be a part of that future that is being charted by the government, articulated by the minister, and associated with all the partners within Barbados that will bring benefit to those individuals who are looking for capacity building for themselves as individuals, whether it is in education, skills training, whether it's in technology, whether it's in vocational education, all those spaces that are so important to future economic growth, both for Barbados, but at a global level.
Today's MOU signing is among the elements of the transformation of the education system in Barbados. Trevor Thorpe, CBC News.
A number of the island's school children have convinced a panel of judges that their opinions matter in poetry and essay format. This as the Barbados Police Service and the Ministry of Educational Transformation's National Student Literacy Competition came to a climax. Under the theme, "Don't Despise My Youth, I Have an Opinion," this year's entries focused on a number of pressing societal issues. Rachel Agard was there.
The island students have voiced their concerns in poetry and essays, even offering suggestions on a number of issues plaguing the Barbadian landscape. Senior Superintendent in charge of the Bridgetown Division, Adrian Brooms, urges the adults to continue to nurture the students as they would flowers with love and support.
You now have a launch pad on which you can just spring as high as you can. Let these stars really be. You are just be your limit. Go beyond the stars. And if I were a singing man, I would probably sing to those guardians and those that care them. You wrote that songs. Did you ever know that you're a hero? I'm not going to say it. That you, guardians, are everything that I would like to be. And with your help, we can fly higher than the eagles.
Senior School Attendance Officer with the Ministry of Educational Transformation, Sharon Weeks Cumberbatch, says initiatives like this highlight the multifaceted approach needed to nurture and empower the nation's youth. She tells students to not only see themselves as leaders of tomorrow, but active participants in shaping today.
The challenges facing our children are numerous. Some of them are poverty, violence, and mental health concerns. And these issues do not discriminate. They affect children from all walks of life. However, I believe that together, through such collaborations, everyone can make a difference.
Assistant General Manager of Cargo BGI, Michelle Rudder-Durant, who sponsored the event, says the competition is more than just an academic exercise, but is also a celebration of curiosity, critical thinking, and creativity.
It also gives us hope that the future will be shaped throughout thoughtful, articulate, and engaged individuals like yourself. To the Barbados Police Service and the District 18, thank you for creating this platform that nurtures and showcases young minds. And to the educators and parents, thank you for encouraging your children, your students, to write, to question, to grow.
Despite the decline in entrants this year, organizer, retired Sergeant Christopher Griffith, is hopeful more entrants will come forward next year. And he urges corporate Barbados to also get on board with the initiative. Rachel Agard, CBC News.
Sports Night is brought to you by Power Aid, Pause is Power, and by Dasani. Live first, Dasani after.
Well, it's time for sports, and Anne-Marie Burt is here. Happy Friday to you. Welcome.
Thank you, Tisha. Happy Friday to you, too. The new vice-captain of the West Indies Test team, Joma Warrican, is set for his first Test match at Kensington Oval when the regional side play against Australia in the first Test starting on June 25th. Warrican is deputy to Roston Chase, who replaced Craig Brathwaite as captain. Speaking after a training session at the Mecca yesterday, Warrican said the camp they're currently in has been working well.
We have the white ball guys that now join the team, so we're gelling well as a unit. So during the camp, we're working on with skills, topping up, whether batting or bowling and fielding. We have been doing some match scenarios that as close as possible to the game, so batting 2 new balls or batting seam consistently. You know that Australia been coming a lot of pace against us, so the guys have been preparing for that very well. So in terms of fitness, everyone look well. The guys are ready and willing to go, so we just got to continue putting in hard work.
Now, several Barbadians took to the tables yesterday in singles action on day 3 of the 2025 Caribbean Regional Championships. Competing at the Wildy Gym, top Barbadian player Tyrese Knight was in winner's row in the men's section, while teammate Kevin Farley suffered a loss. CBC's Anne Goodrich Boyce reports.
Of the Barbadians who were in action, first up was Kevin Farley back in your screen versus George Campos of Cuba. Farley looking to start strong but finds the net. Farley had his moments as well. The forehand looked good on this occasion, but unforced errors were his biggest opponent. Again, he finds the net, going on to lose 11-2, 11-4, and 11-7. Up next was Barbados' best player, Tyrese Knight, who took center stage up against Shamar Britton of Guyana, closer to your screen. The Guyanese started well, good pace and power. Knight had no answer here. But Knight started to shine bright like daylight. That return was simply brutal, to say the least. And that was the spark Knight needed. He started to rattle off shot after shot. That's brilliant again. Knight coming from a set down to lead 2-1. Knight then wrapped up an impressive come from behind victory when Britain could not keep this one on. Knight going on to win 7-11, 11-9, 11-7 and 11-3. And more Goodrich boys, CBC Sports.
80 interns now make up the portfolio of CIBC Caribbean Bank. And in a welcome address, Chief Human Resources Officer Janine Billy said the bank is excited about giving the group an opportunity to set themselves up for the success in the future. She told them they too must also help themselves in the exercise. The bank official also told the interns they had to show up, ask questions, and make sure they understand the answers they receive. She said CIBC Caribbean is proud of its internship program as it's one of the ways the bank gives back to the community in which it serves. The use of antimicrobials in the agricultural sector is a cause for concern for environmental officials. The revelation from the Director of the Environmental Protection Department, Anthony Headley, during the just concluded Research Frontiers Symposium at the Hilton, Barbados. He was responding to questions on the quality and safety of Barbados' drinking water.
When we looked at that global data set, it was ranked number 18th at the bottom out of 190 different countries that analysis was done on. So we're still fairly low. We have an opportunity to ensure that we manage this potential very dangerous threat. So there's still the opportunity to manage it. So from those policies that have been implemented, and certainly there's a little bit more work to be done. I can clearly say that our drinking water, water that you receive from the taps, etc., that water is safe.
The Environmental Department head said the multi-drug resistance effect in Latin America and the Caribbean is low, and it's a condition they would like to keep, but it is a work in progress.
We're now designing between ourselves, the University of the West Indies, and the Ministry of Agriculture. We're looking at an expanded study to go across now the entire spectrum of potential areas where we can be exposed. So we've dealt with water, and this new study is going to look at this new study will look at food, which is another area of consumption, an area of potential impact from antimicrobials.
Sports Night is brought to you by Power Inc. Pause is power. And by Dasani. Live first, Dasani after.
Welcome back to you and to Anne-Marie Burke, who is here for the second half of sports.
Yes, Tisha, this second half we have a lot to unpack. We begin with football as George Lamin and Welches are among the teams to advance to the quarterfinals of the Baiko Primary School's football competition. Playing at Orange Hill today, Welches defeated Bay Primary while George Lamin got past Bailey's. CBC's Damien Best reports.
We're in Orange Hill for some primary school football action. George Lamin taking on Bailey's in Orange. Corner kick to George Lamin. The ball's still alive. Look at the space available, but they cannot convert. The opening goal, though, in this one came via a free kick near the halfway mark. Jonathan Graves. That is pure luck. The goalkeeper spills it into his own goal. 1-0. Bailey's camp stunned. Let's head to the second half now. Switch of ends, and it's the same combination that resulted in the first goal. Graves from long range. Painful to watch. Through the legs of the goalkeeper. Brace for Graves. And a 2-0 victory for George Lamin Primary over Bailey's Primary. Second fixture brought together Bay Primary in blue and Welch's Primary bursting through the defense in the first half is the skipper, Dalen Headley. Outside of the boot, and would you look at that, finds the corner of the onion bag. 1-0. That's all she wrote in the first half. Change of direction for the second. Welches have the majority of the possession and they make it count. Headley again, leading by example. 2-0 then, the scoreline. The defense providing fuel for the offense. Referee says play on. And who else but Headley to register the hat-trick and the victory for Welches Primary. They blank Bay Primary 3-0 to advance. Damien Best, CBC Sports.
A new champion will be crowned tomorrow night in this year's edition of the TMR Corporate Footorama Tournament. Playing in the preliminary rounds at the BFA Turf recently, defending champions High Park lost all 3 of their games. Saturday's semi-finals will see Scotiabank versus Brighton Stokes Limited in one matchup, and Goddard's Catering Group up against TMR Sales and Services Limited in the other. In its 3rd year with an increase from 4 to 8 teams, organizer Keegan Allen says the event, which started as an afterward initiative, has grown bigger and better.
We had youngsters in the company that from work to home, they didn't necessarily do anything. And me as a sports person, I believe that it's very important to balance work and physical activity. So it came up with the idea of the Footorama. We had a cricket element to it with High Park, who had lead that event. The same one-night tournament. And then the guys wanted a one-night tournament in the football. Next week Saturday, which is the 21st, we should have the semi-finals, the 3rd place, and the finals come next week.
And that's news. Thank you so much for spending the time with us. On behalf of the entire crew, do enjoy the rest of your night.